Well, this feels like a big deal, guys. I don't know about you and the rest of the Burnout audience out there, but I would argue that Garrett Mitchell and his alter ego, Cleetus McFarland, is one of the true phenomenons, perhaps the most significant phenomenon we've ever seen in the automotive world or car culture in general. Garrett, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me out today.
Yeah. How about that intro?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty intense intro. I don't know if I can live up to what you said, but I'll say it.
No, I feel it. I think it's true, man. And I guess we'll just dive into this. Like, well, for one, did you ever anticipate this, what was kind of a joke, right? Like a running gag turning into this otherworldly 2 million followers known around the globe. Did you ever envision this? Was this in the back of your mind at all?
I definitely know. There's no way I could ever envisioned it. It was kind of my dream to be able to do what Kyle Loftus with 1320 video was doing at the time and have, my own channel one day. But I never imagined I'd be a professional redneck named Cleetus McFarland, and that goes all the way back to Rockey Mountain Race week. Actually, like the first time I met Alex, which is cool. It all sparked from that day, that week. So pretty crazy.
It's amazing, man. Where does your, we've seen Cleetus McFarland do Cleetus and Cars, a spin on Cars and Coffee. We've seen you do demolition drag racing. We've seen you do, burnout contest. Where do you look, is this all just in your head, or do you look around at other motorsports or other events and draw inspiration?
I mean, it's tough because, there's definitely things I take from certain events. Every event you go to, you learn something new. It's like, when we went to Australia, we learned about how to do the burnouts, and, they're, kind of adapted off of their show. And then you go to Streetcar Takeover, and I've seen how they, drag race and put on that part of the show. I've definitely learned from different events and different styles. And I love going to new events. I raced in the first race week this year. Never knew there was so much that could be a part of a drag race, like drag week or race week. So, I mean, every event we go to is super eye-opening, and we try and learn as much as we can and, give credit where it's due. Streetcar Takeover and Summer Nats would definitely be the two events I would say, get the most credit for helping me get Cleetus and Cars, to where it is today.
So let's go look at Rockey Mountain Race Week. I was a part of it, so I have to ask this question. But I watched your triumph this year with Leroy as you competed in the stick class and then went on to win it. Looking back at it from your perspective, because I know mine, looking back at it from your perspective, what is that week like? What is it like to go through the week and then to get the win, and just the whole experience in general?
I think that the deal with a drag race, right, is like, there's the weekend races, which are amazing. I love them. But the more you put into something, and then win, it's just so much more worth it. So I've won drag races, and it was just not even comparable to winning our class at race week, because we had just, changing transmissions in parking lots and pouring down rain. You guys dealt with it too, Alex. So just battling, and then it all coming down to a win after 7 days of grueling, just torture driving through
no sleep,
Colorado thunderstorms, and no sleep. I edited videos every night for the channel, so we were actually live every day. We had a video up, and we were on trending the whole week. So it was insane. But I mean, we were in storms in a car with cardboard body panels that we built at a gas station, and it was just the most surreal thing, with all these race cars cruising. And, to win it with all our friends and, see you guys win it. It was definitely unreal, super eye-opening that there's so much more to a drag race if you are willing to put yourself into one of these other races, like a race week or drag week.
So you've obviously been diversifying with a lot of the burnouts, Freedom 500 and that sort of stuff, but drag racing still keeps pulling you back in. I know you've got some plans with your red Corvette. Where are you guys headed with that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're trying to run a 7 this week. So we're just working on Ruby right now, which is our car that I accidentally, the story with Ruby is I bought her sight unseen on an auction website, Mannheim, and I was super pumped because I got this smoking deal. And we showed up the day of, and someone had taken the 6.2 liter out and put a 5.3 liter truck motor in it. And so, we were super bummed at first. Then we posted the video and everyone loved it. So we built this red Corvette now. Her name's Ruby, and we're trying to run our first 7-second pass in it this week. So it's got a big single turbo that's higher than the roof line of the car, So it's just stupid fun, you know.
And this one, you didn't cut the body off. This one for some who aren't.
This one's got the body.
Okay.
No hood, but it's got the body.
Okay.
I love it, man. It's like these, it reminds me of like the Rat Fink hot rod stuff that it's none of this stuff is supposed to work, but you guys make it work, man. And speaking of making something work, you blew my mind. I'm not totally surprised, but you made headlines earlier this year when you unleashed or announced a gearhead paradise with the Freedom Factory in Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about A, how that whole thing came to be, and B, like where do you see it going in the future? Because I mean, now you're holding pay-per-view circle track races. You built a burnout pad. I mean, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, we're the guys who bought a abandoned racetrack right before a pandemic. So we, you know, the way it kind of came about, honestly, is I had seen the track. It's right next to Bradenton Motorsports Park, which is 5 minutes from my house. And I had seen it, and I knew about it, and I was at dinner with Victor, the owner of Bradenton Motorsports Park, and I was like, man, like, you know, I can't keep making these videos where we're just, you know, ripping in the road or, you know, doing donuts in the circle out in front of our shop. Right. It's like, what if, you know, we bought this circle track and it turned it into our, you know, our spot for our shenanigans. And then it just like, once that thought made it through my head, so many other ideas poured in, like having the Freedom 500, building the burnout pad in the center so I can actually host our own events there. You know, there's so many possibilities. At first, I thought I needed a drag strip. You know, I was going to try and seek out a drag strip. But it's, you know, that's a pretty one-faceted facility. It actually turned out better that a circle track, even for drag racers, it just worked better for us because, you know, we do drag race and we've got Bradenton Motorsports Park, but then we've got the Freedom Factory now where we can just hoon and do anything. I mean, you know, like there's jumps, there's whatever you want to do. You can do it there. So it worked out really good. And, you know, we did what we had to do to make the deal happen. And the owner worked with us and we made it happen. And like, I thought the announcement would be big, but like people really got behind it. So that was cool. It was a risky situation.
It was awesome.
Well, sure. Dude, I mean, for all of us, like in drag racing, we contend with this all the time that it's like this heartbreaking thing to see a facility close or, you know, find out that some racetrack's going to close down. So it's such a change of pace to hear that somebody's buying a even if it's not a drag strip, a motorsports facility and reopening it and saving it, right? I mean, it's a crazy thing. And I thought about that too, that it probably plays right into your hand that you can go out there and cut donuts and rip around the oval track and all these different things. Cause I've often thought about how you're tasked when you create content for your YouTube channel with, you know, like you said, going ripping up and down some in Mexico, right? And so now you're able to do all those same things, but in America.
Yeah, exactly. And YouTube is like, you know, tightening down their guidelines every day. You know what I mean? So some of this stuff is just getting out of hand and we don't want to get in trouble. We want to do it in a safe spot. So we're like, freaking hell yeah, brother. We'll just get our own spots to do it.
It changed the game too for anybody else, like, you know, coming into the segment, right? And into, you know, if they want to be another channel now, it's like, well, this guy's got a track over here. So you definitely changed the game for a lot of people. And I'm sure there's other content creators out there looking like, what else is for sale?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said too. Like, you know, I always try to show to people, like, we're so committed to doing, you know, I want to be a YouTuber as long as I can be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys, you know, they'll blow up on YouTube. And there's no problem at all with cashing out and you know, making your money and moving on to something else. But like, I'm here to prove to these guys, our people who follow us, like we're so committed that we freaking bought a racetrack because we plan on, you know, we're going to do this for as long as we can.
I think that's so important.
We're in it, you know,
because you see through the fakeness of the others. Like you can see through like what their actual motives are. So it's like really cool to see, like, you know, that your motives are intentional to be in the car world. It's not just because it's like you said, like a quick cash out. Like you have a passion for what you're doing. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, we're in it.
Do you think, Garrett, that there is for the most part like an expiration date for the typical YouTuber? I mean, is that something that crosses your mind? Like, okay, this can only, because I'm sure like reality TV show stars kind of contend with that, right? That there's a life cycle to all these things. Is that does that weigh on you?
I think there's a life cycle to every business.
Agreed.
You know, and it's one of those things that's like, I don't know when or where, you know, we're at in our life cycle, but I just push forward every day, hoping to keep continuing towards that peak. You know what I mean? And it'll come one day. There's just the fact of the matter is it will come one day. And we have we have a pretty decent overhead now. We used to always run really skim, but we've financially mapped out what it's going to look like in a couple years on a couple different scenarios, and we plan on just sending it for as long as we can, like and there's points where we'll have to pivot, just like any business too, like in YouTube, if you have to change your content. Turns out people love construction content. We just constructed a burnout pad that's 220 feet by 190 feet out of the track, and like, who knows if one day I'm doing way less car stuff and doing more construction stuff. Like, we could buy another track and fix it up. It's like, luckily it's such a universal platform that we're going to try and keep our life cycle alive as long as possible. But yeah, one day,
well, and
it certainly will shut down.
It's really solid advice for anybody out there, that you have to be in 2020. It feels like being nimble and able to change and pivot and adapt has never been more important, man. And wise words from the one and only Cleetus McFarland. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us today. We know you got a lot of stuff going on, man, and we appreciate you taking some time away from cutting donuts to shoot the breeze with us here on Burnout.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm excited to be on the show and talk to 3 people that I know pretty well. So thank you guys, and keep it up.